Welcome to the Last Minute Show. Eylül is suffering from horrible acoustics and short-term memory loss. That is why she could not be with us today. I hacked her program once again. She has been listening to some poetry recordings recently, so I decided to steal some for you. Today, Gertrude Stein and Sexton, Alice Notley, Kathy Acker and Nicole Blackman will join us. We hope you enjoy, somewhat. Starting with Stein's The Making of Americans, excerpts from parts 1 and 2, recorded in New York, winter 1934-35.
Extracts from The Making of Americans. Repeating then is in everyone their being and their feeling and their way of realizing everything, and everyone comes out of them in repeating. More and more then everyone comes to be clear to someone. Slowly everyone in continuous repeating, to their minutest variation, comes to be clearer to someone. Everyone who ever was or is or will be living sometimes will be clearly realized by someone. Sometime there will be an ordered history of everyone. Slowly, every kind of one comes into ordered recognition. More and more then it is wonderful in living, the subtle variations coming clear into ordered recognition, coming to make everyone a part of some kind of them, some kind of men and women. Repeating then is in everyone. Everyone then comes sometime to be clearer to someone. Sometime there will be then an orderly history of everyone who ever was or is or will be living. It happens very often that a man has it in him, that a man does something, that he does it very often, that he does many things, when he is a young man, when he is an old man, when he is an older man. One of such of these kind of them had a little boy, and this one, the little son, wanted to make a collection of butterflies and beetles, and was all exciting to him, and was all arranged then. And then the father said to the son, "You are certain this is not a cruel thing that you are wanting to be doing, killing things to make collections of them?" And the son was very disturbed then, and they talked about it together, the two of them. And more they talked about it then. And then at last the boy was convinced it was a cruel thing, and he said he would not do it. And his father said the little boy was a noble boy to give up pleasure when it was a cruel one. The boy went to bed then, and then the father, when he got up in the early morning, saw a wonderfully beautiful moth in the room. And he caught him, and he killed him, and he pinned him, and he woke up his son then and showed it to him. And he said to him, "See what a good father I am to have caught and killed this one." The boy was all mixed up inside him, and then he said he would go on with his collecting. And that was all there was then of discussing, and this is a little description of something that happened once, and it is very interesting. Family living can go on existing. Very many are remembering this thing, are remembering that family living can go on existing. Very many are quite certain that family living can go on existing. Very many are remembering that they are quite certain that family living can go on existing. Any family living going on existing is going on, and everyone can come to be a dead one, and they are then not any more living in that family living, and that family is not then existing, if they are not then any more having come to be living. Any family living is existing if there are some more being living when very many have come to be dead ones. Family living can be existing if not everyone in the family living has come to be a dead one. Family living can be existing if there have come to be some existing who have not come to be dead ones. Family living can be existing, and there can be some who are not completely remembering any such thing. Family living can be existing, and there can be some who have been completely remembering such a thing. Family living can be existing, and there can be some remembering something of such a thing. Family living can be existing, and some can come to be old ones, and then dead ones, and some can have then quite expecting some such thing. Family living can be existing, and some can come to be old ones, and not yet dead ones, and some can be remembering something of some such thing. Family living can be existing, and someone can come to be an old one, and some can come to be a pretty old one, and some can come to be completely expecting such a thing, and completely remembering, expecting such a thing. Family living can be existing, and everyone can come to be a dead one, and not anyone then is remembering any such thing. Family living can be existing, and everyone can come to be a dead one, and some are remembering some such thing. Family living can be existing, and anyone can come to be a dead one, and everyone is then a dead one, and they are then not any more being living. Any old one can come to be a dead one. Every old one can come to be a dead one. Any family being existing is one having some being then not having come to be a dead one. Any family living can be existing when not everyone has come to be a dead one. Everyone in a family living having come to be dead ones, some are remembering something of some such thing. Some being living, not having come to be dead ones, can be ones being in a family living. Some being living and having come to be old ones can come then to be dead ones. Some being living and being in a family living and coming then to be old ones can come then to be dead ones. Anyone can be certain that some can remember such a thing. Any family living can one being existing, and some can remember something of some such thing.
Death is there. But you said the world's going to die. You know, the world, the earth. It's going to be over. I said, well, I never lied to you. You see, I can explain sex in a minute, but death, I can't explain.
Anne Sexton's home video recordings in or around
Since
1960.
Most days I
die.
cannot remember. I walk in my clothing, unmarked by that voyage. Then the almost unnameable lust returns. Even then I have nothing against life. I know well the grass blades you mention, the furniture you have placed under the sun. But suicides have a special language. Like carpenters, they want to know which tools. They never ask why build. Twice I have so simply declared myself, have possessed the enemy, eaten the enemy, have taken on his craft, his magic. In this way, heavy and thoughtful, warmer than oil or water, I have rested, drooling at the mouth hole. I did not think of my body at needlepoint. Even the cornea and the leftover urine were gone. Suicides have already betrayed the body. Stillborn, they don't always die, but dazzled, they can't forget a drug so sweet that even children would look on and smile. To thrust all that life under your tongue, that all by itself becomes a passion. Death's a sad bone, bruised, you'd say. And yet she waits for me, year after year, to so delicately undo an old wound, to empty my breath from its bad prison. Balanced there, suicides sometimes meet, raging at the fruit, a pumped-up moon, leaving the bread they mistook for a kiss, leaving the page of the book carelessly open, something unsaid, the phone off the hook, and the love, whatever it was, an infection. Music swims back to me. Wait, mister. Which way is home? They turned the light out and the dark is moving in the corner. There are no signposts in this room. 4 ladies over 80 in diapers, every one of them. La, la, la. Oh, music swims back to me, and I can feel the tune they played the night they left me in this private institution on a hill. Imagine it, a radio playing, and everyone here was crazy. I liked it and danced in a circle. Music pours over the sense, and in a funny way, music sees more than I. I mean, it remembers better, remembers the first night here. It was the strangled cold of November. Even the stars were strapped in the sky, and that moon too bright, forking through the bars to stick me with a singing in the head. I have forgotten all the rest. They lock me in this chair at 8 a.m., and there are no signs to tell the way, just the radio beating to itself, and the song that remembers more than I. Oh, la, 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 this music swims back to me. The night I came, I danced a circle and was not afraid, mister. The Starry Night. Vincent van Gogh, in a letter to his brother. That does not keep me from having a terrible need of, shall I say the word, religion. Then I go out at night to paint the stars. The town does not exist except where one black-haired tree slips up like a drowned woman into the hot sky. The town is silent. The night boils with 11 stars. Oh, starry, starry night, this is how I want to die. It moves. They are all alive. Even the moon bulges in its orange irons to push children like a god from its eye. The old unseen serpent swallows up the stars. Oh, starry, starry night, this is how I want to die. Into that rushing beast of the night, sucked up by that great dragon, to split from my life with no flag, no belly, no cry.
After the sweet promise, the summer's mild retreat from winter's cancer, the odor of mother's death, I come to this white office, its sterile sheet, its hard tablet, its stirrups, to hold my breath while I, who must, allow the glove its oily rape, to hear the almost mighty doctor over me equate my ills with hers, and decide to operate. It grew in her as simply as a child would grow, as simply as she housed me once, fat and female. Always my most gentle house, before that embryo of evil spread in her shelter, and she grew frail. Frail, we say, remembering fear, that face I wore in the room of the special smells of dying. Fear, where the snoring mouth gapes and is not dear. There was snow everywhere. Each day I gruel through its sloppy peak, its blue-struck days, my boots slapping into the hospital halls, past the retinue of nurses sipping tea, to murmur in cahoots with hers outside her door, to enter with the outside air stuck on my skin, to enter smelling her pride, her upkeep, and to lie as all who love have lied. No reason to be afraid, my almost mighty doctor reasons. I nod, thinking that woman's dying must come in seasons, thinking the bill must be paid, thinking that living is worth buying. I walk out scuffing a raw leaf, kicking the clumps of dead straw that were this summer's lawn. Automatically I get in my car, knowing the historic thief is loose in my house and must be set upon. Clean of the body's hair I lie, smooth from breast to leg. All that was special, all that was rare, is common here. Fact, death too is in the egg. Fact, the body is dumb, the body is meat. And tomorrow the OR, only the summer was sweet. The rooms down the hall are calling all night long, while the night outside sucks at the trees. I hear limbs falling and see yellow eyes flick in the rain. Wide-eyed and still whole, I turn in my bin like a shorn lamb. A nurse's flashlight blinds me to see who I am. The walls color in a wash of daylight until the room takes its objects into itself again. I smoke furtively and squash the butt and hide it with my watch and other effects. The halls bustle with legs. I smile at the nurse who smiles for the morning shift. Day is worse. Scheduled late, I cannot drink nor eat, except for yellow pills and a jigger of water. I wait and think until she brings 2 mysterious needles, the skill she knows, promising, soon you'll be out. But nothing is sure, no one. I wait in doubt. I wait like a kennel of dogs jumping against their fence. At 10 she returns, laughs and catalogues my resistance to drugs. On the stretcher, citizen and boss of my own body still, we glide down the halls and rise in the iron cage towards science and pitfalls. The great green people stand over me. I roll on the table under a terrible sun, following their command to curl, head touching knee, if I am able. Next I am hung up like a saddle, and they begin. Pale as an angel, I float out over my own skin. I soar in hostile air over the pure women in labor, over the crowning heads of babies being born. I plunge down the back stair, calling mother at the dying door, to rush back to my own skin, tied where it was torn. Its nerves pull like a wire, snapping from the leg to the rib. Strangers, their faces rolling like hoops, require my arm. I am lifted into my aluminum crib. Skull flat, here in my harness thick with shock. I call mother to help myself, call toe of frog, that woolly bat, that tongue of dog, call God help, and all the rest. That child who killed her mother is walled into my groggy brain, is walled into my white womb, and is in trouble and in pain. My nurses, those starchy ghosts, hover over me for my lame hours and my lame days. The mechanics of the body pump for their tricks. I rest on their needles, am dosed and snoring amid the orange flowers and the eyes of visitors. I fall sometimes, smelling of menthol and blood, and do not mind at all. I grow accustomed to the secrets of pain, its stone ear to the sheet. I hear my bones stamped from shadow, immodestly hiking out of stiff snow to air their sores. The flesh forgets its personal role. I do not meet my mother on her dying bed, nor do I see my own upkeep, nor hear a lie, if a lie is said. 4 days from home, I lurk on my mechanical parapet with 2 pillows at my elbows, as soft as praying cushions. My knees work with the bed. I smoke. I grumble to forget the lie I ought to hear, but don't. God knows I'd planned to die, and yet I don't. Healed. My stomach like a football laced for the game. Healed, without mother's kiss or mother's cancer. I open the minutes of her dying. Ghouls I sealed in my head, like wizards promising evil, promising fear. Recovered from the death I expected of me, recovered from watching her familiar flesh decay, I find the bodiless words of love, the unexpected memory of what was and is dear.
From Reason and Other Women, Judgment in Rosie Courts. The Rosie Courts formation, a hilly, monstrous egg, two paths to, one is orderly, views of it, and one is wild up to it and through it. He won't approve of my writing this any at all. Keep seeing the landscape of, looking for the pink quartz, hills and rocky formations as in the south. It's obviously as a city, the ancient crystal city, colored by the red of, the ruby is it like the special pale mosaics of. The second world can't leave house to take the wild path to the ancient quartz. My friend is too slow. Life, my sister Life had said hurry, but Virgin can't leave the house she's not, and he won't approve of my writing. It isn't urban, it's looking for another kind of city. Don't you want to vary it, the sound, or say, of course, and will I ever leave the house? Virginia can't get ready. It's dark already, it's nearly 10, and the stars have gone far. Might die first. He isn't all life, for poetry, whose world, his potential must stretch, change must change. Finding the ancient formation, colored pink by the red soul, looking at you, raises a glass carved itself from quartz. It's a song about necklines and how important they are to that culture. Fuck that and fuck. I'm tired of your sacrality, bigoted customs and religions, having been saying for whole life that I shouldn't really speak. Nearer and nearer the quartz, I will be allowed to speak even more, will know more, and know more to say. I'm tired of him and him, the ones who militantly trounce you once again for being militant. The house, all life must change, or mine, whole life. The right path to the old quartz, made pink by blood, blood turned to rock, would shine in that light. Is there a city or world there? A thought, a truth, a vision. Crave it. A measure, a tincture, a texture, shaped like a large quartz birth, like a gem of silence. My silence, your sacrality. I'll never be silent. I'm tired of the attitude. My city, my measure, my change summons me to that path. Come on, the path too, she says, but the other holds back, up and down stairs. I'm ready. Please let me know what song to bring. Necklines, it's all about jettison, jettison all you've, all I've. Throw it over. Throw it over some more. Blood is seeped into. It is ancient question overly put. It's put so many times it's meaningless unless you come along. We will find the city of ancient, bloody, gleaming crystal. God, have I left out the blood, the haze of the ruby oneness seeps outward into the city. The blood is in the soul and in the ruby, which doesn't spill, which only refracts light. And I am in. And I didn't want to participate any more, though always would and always will be made to. But not meekly now, though always would in the blood, seeping through to the soul, bringing some sort of information. Why doesn't anyone know things? Why do you only know these trivial things, these daily? Go there with girls of my youth, no one else. Go there with spirits from the past. He doesn't approve of ghosts, who cares? Ghost of myself going there? Ghost of myself goes in this world to dinner. Only ghosts go to dinner in Paris. Your spirits from the youthful past. I'm going on the path with girlish spirits. You can't come now. I'm looking for the past of us, the ancient blooded city of Rosie Courts. Looking for, if you find it. Manners are carved in it, pure. Don't want manners or rules. They always put down girls. These are different, they say. Fly into the heart of. Don't make rules. Don't listen to him. Again. He won't shut up. Never does. Irritability is from the beginning a reaction. Mind, the knowing colored by blood, emotion going roseate. Reason colored by emotion, vice versa. Emotion is carvable, utile for reason, the two together, or like flesh. Was anyone ever put, ever squeezed, ever broken, ever the same mind, have never been the same as you, as carvable, blinking factories rule everywhere, making more of your likeness, but not you, your likeness, but not you, everywhere, the insult, another and has history proved that, and women with their other kind of violence. Quartz has weathered and changed. Perhaps it's only just now ready, only now in the ancient world. Changed your baby to blood, now change it back to quartz. They all have the ability to crawl, especially him, but I've seen them all crawl, and I've crawled. Turns to crystal for a second, no more blood there, just for a second. But we have for millennia ensured that blood must be there. Blood must be there. All the blood shed must be there. Don't forget. Don't you ever Shed so much in great wars, shed and shed for so much of our testing, as if it were a test, and all women must be tested for millennia, millennia, and the poor must continuously be tested by all civilizations. That blood is there frozen, will be rock. Escape this vicious testing imposed by the ignorance of not go, that doesn't ghost enough, speaking antiquated as if there were some criticism, passa, and paperclip, key, others, side silver, who sees it now? Busted, possibly. Following everyone doing that now, 6 into the mixed remains of any go on. Extremely carefully, you are always looking for the president. It isn't in detail. No, it isn't in, it's in. Great forebears, none. And air, but there used to be pure air. How long ago? There is no pure. We ruined it. We ruined everywhere. And in the quartz, that's why it's red. It can't be pure. Our ancient present ruin, as 10 years ago, is ancient history, and you have none and nothing to say. What are you going to do? Read and promised. The promise of the ruby soul, the pure bloody entity that I am. Have you ever considered a theory of anguish, seething with viciousness, tired of all the ways one's supposed to be, still after all this time demure, rag on the head? Let them have their repression, let them have their how many ways are you repressed? So long ago, the stars have gone far on their course. Which stars? And the uselessness of loving all others reach their repressiveness, and love it, of course, kiss ass they are all, in that stuffy small room. A lot of people, I guess you'd call them. Too many birds outside, trying to peck you soup or cleaning it up for the next batch of rich men. I saw the world fall on the drop of the hat in my own generation, saw the sky and air go, practically all in my own. Blindness is the story of our time's eyes pecked out, blinder than crystal. I want crystal back, eyes pecked out. I'll have Chris back, Ill wind winding forever and around here. Why didn't he ever say anything? He thought he was innocent because he was poor or working class something no one was. No one is innocent now. Your poor country isn't innocent. There is no innocence on earth. Who will judge? I am judging. Say what you will, but I am judging. Judgment is always here, built into the ancient quartz, the petrified blood of your works. And what will we do? I'm looking for the ancient quartz too. Looking too. What good will it do? Looking too.
What to bring into counted happening, tree bark material to hand accompany dancing, or not that, stuff with a handle on top. I would like to praise this terror of era, the world where all objects pass and move within one another. Praise your impasses rather than ask for release from this public house, the earth, all boundary, unified and initialed, malfunctioning. It has, this angel, black wings and orange head, or goldish or beak. I could have it implanted in my chest like those heart things, machines, or next to my forehead. It reminds me I am in and pass through it, as given by you, is cool to the touch, a blue globe and light and very thin, shower of things. Fire agate. It looks like a fiery fingerprint. Surrounded by your purple scarf tonight, how can I ever be other than personal poet, your personal poet? Voice and eyes, orchids, cries, wheels and heels and laughter, heard windows, the night car's steam. In bed I see my garnet nails hold the white pen, that theme and the beat of to pause, cluster honks, cluster kissed, clustered hands, golden faces, gold masks, and wrists, gold and silver telephones, and ruby, no tiny memory, taste you, no, I meant globular of tastes, earth and sky, not globular, but earth and sky to taste are in the floating globe we meet to make. Your half is blue-green, my half green-blue. There was no first person before you, and when you leave, I become the first person. The first person knows of living on, which was entreated not, a song, of course, awkward. I am natured fetish, am natured this fetish, am I, believe. I don't remember what half of these mean now, which is a circumstance I quite like, but I always feel that the audience knows more about it at certain points than I do, that's for sure. I saw you there crowded, defenseless, approach in heart be right that I may be allowed. At 10th and A, from which other and after turn and make a dance to this rift, fortunately what? Expressing a place, a passage past, the trees so blue, outrageous, this dark of ripe lamplights, golden or bursting, this I lose again, they are not covered with secret signs. I will never be revealed to them some other countenance I must be talking about. At 10th and A, halfway between us now, no one this morning types again. I have undertaken a task to please the world and to delight lofty spirits, that is, the spirits whom I love and the world into which my heart gazes. I do not mean the everyday world of which I have heard it said that it can bear no grief. Every day that we meet and part with shaped leaves, as towns, as buildings, as districts, as duties, step in reasoning. Unallowed to fasten to, I have no ground or complaint. My wings must allow sail, but how did it ever come to be that two must be two, and one is the number furthest inward, too far to find, not too far to find. And this, friends, is what is a city where the affair is. Both cultivated and wild, the world's sweetness and costliest doors, the trees and the flowing dark hair, and the spell from which no freedom, no angel shall be in that place this night where I lie down, because though we are angels, and we are angels, and together we are angel. ...
About to have a change of plan. But actually, I just have to take a tiny break here. This is a couple from Grave of Light. I mean from Alma or the Dead Women. Answer if you can. Won't somebody tell me? Answer if you can. Won't somebody tell me? What is the soul of a woman? And if you don't know as you don't, what are your rights over others? Their blood has, or mine. There are no rights over others. No one's blood lost asserts. No one's not Jesus or the blood of lost loves. And if they put the receiver in my hand, I can't call on rights, the right of retaliation, self-defense. What can't in the purity of white light Luz says, and well, I'm going to make up my own die-in bed. And Luz and I take all the death warrants that have been signed in no ink but pretense of common consent, the airy warrants of our American will, as if we had the right to kill whoever we name as enemy. Luz and I are covering over the death warrants with other kinds of words, these words. And you don't want him dead, she asks. No, I want him bound. We take the death warrants from the air and we rip from them any imputation of our own intent. We sign no community death warrant against anyone at all. Lord, Lady, Misericord, Lord, sounds. I cover your malevolent, airy sounds with mine in this space, only mine. I cover your death warrants with my life words. The planes, they came so low, said Radical. The American planes. One of the two planes fired a missile, Radical said, and it hit where most of her children and other youngsters were clustered in the front of the trailer. Motherless children have a hard time, and childless mothers too. Dying will not be easy despite the song. I can't speak for the dying of these children, and were there death warrants for them and democracy's imprecise blood air? What else is important? And I had said to myself this morning I would accept the suicide of myself that wishes, but how can I not wish that we hadn't done and will not do this again? How can he? But he warned last week that if the Allies balk,
Bush was fully prepared to do it by himself, take action in Iraq, by which he does not mean by himself. He himself will not enter any battlefield or place his worthless self-body in danger in any hostile environment. And did he ever enter the death chamber in Huntsville? And if I had my way in this wicked world, I would tear this building down. And Luz said, still, I am covering over the death warrants in the air, but now I cover them with my own light, with as much light as I can. I read the gospel often. I try to read it right, as far as I can understand. Ain't nothing but a burning light. Won't somebody tell me, answer if you can, won't somebody tell me what is the soul of a woman?
I was walking along the street. It was night, late at night, and I was looking for some action. Times Square. The blue, yellow, green, red, white, and violet neon lights were still blinking. They wouldn't stop blinking for another 2 hours. And it would still be dark. It's always dark on Times Square. Only rats live there, rats and some of those creepy insects that only come out at night. My name is Jacqueline Onassis. I kept walking down the slightly wet, shining street. The street. I felt a hand lightly touch my shoulder. I quickly turned around. Look, a young dark-haired man said to me, releasing his erect cock from his pants. See what you do to me? Every night I see you. 3 nights I've been following you. 3 nights I've had to relieve myself. I laughed. Didn't anyone tell you that was bad for you? You could stunt your growth doing it so much. He didn't laugh. When are you going to spend a whole night with me? Just one time we can make love. I laughed again. You're too greedy. I'm a married woman with responsibilities. I have to be home when my children wake up. Would it be so terrible if you weren't? He pouted. Then I'd be remiss in the one duty that my husband demands of me, I said, and that wouldn't do. Your husband doesn't care. Otherwise, he'd have come to see you and the children at least once these past 3 months, he said. My voice went cold. How do you know that? What my husband does or does not do is none of your business. He sensed instantly he had said too much. But I love you. I'm going crazy for wanting you. I nodded slowly. Then keep things in their proper perspective, I said.
The soldiers, helmeted, bandy-legged, trample, muscles stiffened, the newborn swaddled in shawls of scarlet violet. Babies roll out of the arms of the women crouched into the sheet iron machine guns of the POP. POP is all about the Algerian War, so they're different groups of soldiers. The cab driver sticks his fist into the face of a goat thrown into his cab. Near the lake, a section of the Polizzi cross the tracks. Other Polizzi leap out in front of the trucks. The POP are retiring up the river. A male head propped against the white wall, tired, in front of 3 thorn bushes. The soldiers bare the tops of their bodies shaded by the mud barricades. The women rock their kids against their tits. These stirring, rocking motions reinforced by the sweat from the fire, perfumes that make their rags, their flesh, their meat pregnant, salad oil, clove, henna, butter, indigo, sulfur. At the base of this river, under a shelf loaded down by charred cedars, barley, wheat, beehives, graves, refreshment bars, garbage, fig trees, matches, low walls splattered by human brains, orchards dilated by the smoke of small fires, explode. Flowers, pollen, ears of grain, tree roots, paper, material stained by milk, blood, bark, feathers, rising. To get to another section so you can see what it's like. That's the very, very beginning of that. Okay. The teenagers, this is another scene. The teenagers, ears buried in the ground, chew the raw semolina from the bags. The kids separate from threads from their lips, from the flat of their teeth. The rags which cover them, put into sacks, which recover their wives' tits, licking the teenagers' lips, the chewed wheat. The soldiers wallowed in the sand, strewn with rags, with smashed utensils. Finger tug young girls' bare knees. The father grabs the candle. The brown curly-haired soldier, rolling black meat around in his red mouth, unsheathes his knife. His hand rapid puts the cloth over. The sex loaded with scarlet rags, the pincher, the grabber. The brown curly-headed soldier draws to him by the thigh the sleepy young girl. She slips over the sand until she comes to the tent opening. 2 soldiers, one temple scalped by an eagle's beak in his sleep. After the rape over the eagle's nest, the other soldiers pause, scooting the shit. Maintain this position. They gag the father, who throws a lit candle into their hairs. The curly brown-headed soldier takes the young girl in his arms. She sleeps, purrs, hand open on her forehead, to his jolting trot. The veiled moon makes green his naked body's arm. Pharaoh's rat, goddamn cat, vibrates above his sex where the curly brown-headed soldier strides over the kitchen cesspools. The curly brown-headed scampers over the shit-filled straw the length of the kennels, is panting the gurgling prelude to rape. The oozing of sweat over the naked chest wakes the young girl up. She examines closely across the mouth open from gasping, the meat stuck to the brown curly-headed's teeth, still sitting in a ball in his mouth, the meat. The brown curly-headed soldier puts her back on her feet. He abandons her in the metal grating of the kennels. He hugs her, kisses her lips. The ears, hollows wear. All right, it goes on and on like that. That sort of thing goes non-stop like that. And what you have is, you have just scenes like that, one scene after another. I mean, it's useless to read anymore because, you know, what it does to you, it's like a little, like, I don't know if you know Bob Ashley's music or any of the Once group's music. It presents an environment. It presents a series of environments whose panorama is so huge that on one hand, it's as if your eyes have to take in a film screen that is a little too wide for the eyes to see. And on the other hand, the details are so focused and they're happening so fast and so regularly. The rhythm that you have to go to see like that while you're still trying to take in this huge panorama, which is almost impossible, so that your mind does something funny. It's an amazing book. You know, it's shocking to read it. And it's not shocking for the reason that, like, Burroughs novels are either shocking or were shocking or are supposed to be shocking because of the cut-up syntax. You know, it's not a technical trick that's making the shock. Well, not technical. It's Burroughsism. It's not syntactical cut up with the syntax. It's something else that's going on that's making it shocking, and it's not so-called content, like, though it's very violent sexually, certain scenes.
Finally they reached, according to certain maps which were so unreadable as to be useless, the domain for which they had been searching. They had never known its name. All they found of human life on this coast was a wood house having the shabbiest possible condition. This oyster farm consisted of one salting house, the center of the shabbiness, 3 dead beds, deader fish smell, and the remnants of a burnt-down convent. As the pirates walked toward what they sought, now only by means of their dreams, one of the nuns who was living in the hut climbed up on top of a hill made out of her own excrement and began a speech in honor of this occasion. Dear Sirs, rags stinking from dried sea spit were barely covering the bodies of her proposed listeners, who almost never in their lives had listened to anyone. Dear Sirs, our cunts are red. She wanted to speak more about cunts, but some pirate interrupted her, then another. Several started belching and grunting. Nevertheless, the pirates comprehended enough of her speech to perceive that they had arrived at the temple of Eros, or of that dirt which is red, and this day was the birthday of the nun whose cunt was hungriest.
Well, everyone closes doors on certain people. We're human. It's not like you close doors on people. It's just, people hang out with some people and not with others. And it was kind of the hippie years, and because I was working the sex show, I wasn't a hippie. I was kind of like real proto-punk, and my view of the world was very dark for most people. See, I started doing this journal when I was working in the sex show because, I'd do a show and then I'd sit in, I think, Tad's Steakhouse. I got real good at sitting in Tad's Steakhouse and writing. And, there I was on 42nd Street, right? And so I'd do kind of a journal, and then I'd go through all the experiments in Burroughs' books, especially The Third Mind, and I'd apply it to this kind of, autobiographical work. I mean, this is really early years, and a book called Politics came out of this. So it really wasn't fitting into hippie culture at all, right? I mean, my view of sexuality, for one, was not very rosy, right? But neither were any feminists going to, take up the work in those days either, because, there's a lot of stuff, it wasn't hearts and flowers time, even between the women. So, I mean, I think a lot of the feeling, I remember Ted Berrigan saying, oh, that weird sex freak, referring to me. So, I mean, it wasn't animosity or anything, but I wasn't...
In that context, if it was hippies, would be positive.
Yeah. No, he didn't mean positive. Well, Ted and I were friends, but there was, some of the early Andy Warhol people. Joe D'Alessandro was working around the corner at the Metropole. That was the big sex show place, and so I was kind of hanging out just on the edge of the Warhol scene, and they didn't quite mesh, But some people they were hanging out both places, but there was a sensibility that was funny. I mean, that wasn't meshing quite. So it's not like closed doors. It was more like I didn't feel comfortable. And, I also felt very much, it took me a long time. I didn't really feel comfortable in the world until punk came along. And then suddenly when punk came along, it's like someone like me felt comfortable because everyone else was just like an insect against the wall. I mean, that's what I felt like. I felt like an insect against the wall. I mean, at least in the art world, it's just everyone was older than me, so I just shut my mouth and I was like the mascot they could take everywhere. So there was a place to be a freak. So that made me comfortable. But punk made me real. I mean, that's the first time I felt like I ever talked to anybody.
Is that,
One day I'll give birth to a tiny baby girl, and when she's born, she'll scream, and I will tell her to never stop. I will kiss her before I lay her down at night and will tell her a story so she knows how it is and how it must be for her to survive. I will tell her to set things on fire and keep them burning. I'll teach her that fire will not consume her, that she must take it and use it. I'll tell her that people must earn the right to use her nickname, that forced intimacy is an ugly thing. I'll help her to see that she will not find God or salvation in a dark brick building built by dead men. I'll make sure she always carries a pen so she can take down the evidence. If she has no paper, I'll teach her to write everything down with her tongue, write it on her thighs. I'll make her keep reinventing herself and run fast. I'll teach her to write her manifestos on cocktail napkins. I'll say that she should make men lick her ambition. I'll make her understand that she is worth more with her clothes on. I will teach her to talk hard. I'll tell her that when the words finally come too fast and she has no use for a pen, that she must quit her job, run out of the house in her bathrobe, leave the door open. I will teach her to follow the words. Because they will try to make her stay. They will comfort her, let her sleep, bathe her in a television blue glow. I will cut her hair, tell her to light the house on fire, kill the kittens. When nothing is there, nothing will keep her, and she is not to be kept. I'll say that everything she has done, seen, spoken has brought her to the here, this, now. This is no time for tenderness, no time to stand waiting for them to find her, because there are nations within her skin, and queendoms come without keys you can carry. I'll teach her that she has an army inside her that can save her life. I will teach her to be whole, to be holy. I will teach her how to live, to be so much that she doesn't even need me anymore. I'll tell her to go quickly and never come back, because things get broken fast here. I will make her stronger than I ever was. Turned at 20, she'll break into bits of star and throw herself into the night sky. 2012 is an excellent year to disappear. I will not let them destroy her life the way that they destroyed mine. I'll tell her to never forget what they did to you, and never let them know you remember. Never forget what they did to you, and never let them know you remember. Never forget what they did to you. Never let them.
The list of poems is as follows. Gertrude Stein, The Making of Americans. Excerpts from Parts 1 and 2. Recorded in New York. Winter 1934-35. Anne Sexton's home video recordings in or around 1960. Wanting to Die. Anne Sexton. Music Swims Back to Me. Anne Sexton. The Starry Night. Anne Sexton. Operation. Alice Notley. Judgment in Rosie Courts. From Text Sound Issue Number 2. Fall 2008. Alice Notley. What to Bring. Buffalo, New York. 1987. Alice Notley, Answer If You Can. Reading at Kelly Ryder's house. November 2006. Kathy Ecker, I was walking down the street. From Sugar, Alcohol and Meat. Giorno Poetry Systems. 1980. Kathy Ecker, Readings from Eden, Buffalo, New York. 1979. Kathy Ecker, The Temple of Eros from the album Redoing Childhood. 1999. Kathy Ecker interview. On Fitting In Punk Culture, at SUNY Buffalo. 1995. Nicole Blackman, Daughter, Augerton, Vienna. 2012. That's all for today. Eylül says she is very sorry for not being able to be here with us. There is a serious issue with speaking up nowadays. A couple of weeks from now her voice, like other things, will spring forth, hopefully. See you next month.